Hey folks, I'm back again, and this is a response video to James and his weekly chat from last night. And okay, this one is about the convention scene, I guess, the convention experience, and then the last part is about have movies taken over our lives. Well, okay. Okay, so my convention experience has primarily been with Star Trek conventions. I've been to 11 Star Trek conventions between 2005 and 2011, and 6 of them were in Las Vegas, 4 in Chicago, and 1 in Indianapolis. And anyway, and I've only been to 3 different kinds of conventions, 3 horror film conventions. I went to, has anybody ever heard of a convention called the Monster Bash? It takes place around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, different locations. Every year. It's been going on for quite a long time. I went to 2 of those. The first one I went, in fact, my very first convention in my entire life, the summer of 2005, I went to the first Monster Bash, my first Monster Bash convention. Then I went again in 2006, and I haven't been since. And then in 2011, I went to the Horror Hound convention in Indianapolis. Okay, and I have to say that for the most part, my experience of doing conventions has been very positive, and it's added a lot to my life. It's funny, but before I started doing this in 2005, and it really brought me back into the whole experience of traveling and going anywhere, because I hadn't taken a real vacation since probably 1988. So when I started doing this, it just it brought me out into a whole new world, and you know, started to fly again. And I had never been to Las Vegas. I started meeting people. It became easier to talk to people. And besides the whole thing about seeing celebrities and all that. So for the most part, yeah, I'm very glad that I've done it. And even though I haven't done it since 2011, I've just gotten kind of lazy. But I do intend to get back into it again, you know, eventually, hopefully next year. And we'll see, depending on how much money I have. Next year I'm hoping to retire. And that's something I would like to do in retirement, is just spend a lot of time going to different conventions. But it all depends on how much money I can spend, all that sort of thing. But I agree with you, James, and the only response to this video I've watched so far is from David Koenig. So he talked about, he has a very long convention experience, just like you do. So, and I agree with what you guys are saying about the whole assembly line aspect. I mean, it really, especially in Las Vegas, which is a huge Star Trek convention. And the Horror Hound was the same way. Just, I mean, I never saw that many people in a room in my life. But, you know, you spend half your time standing in lines. And it's very expensive. The whole thing about, I'm not that crazy about getting autographs. I mean, I do it once in a while, but I would much rather have a photo op with these celebrities so that I can, you know, look at my own face standing next to them. It's kind of a nice souvenir to have. So I've done that a little bit more, and some of those can be very, very expensive. For example, I think in 2011, when my last Star Trek convention in Vegas, Patrick Stewart was there, and if I remember correctly, he was charging something like $80 for a photo op, or maybe it was over $100. I'm not sure. I know he was charging at least $100 for an autograph. Jerry Ryan was charging about the same thing. And in a couple of years, Scott Bakula was there, and he was charging even more. And I don't remember the amount, so I don't want to misquote, but I know it was over $100 for an autograph and a photo op. And as much as I would have liked to have met him, I just refused to spend that kind of money. I just didn't do it. And besides, I'm not that fanatical about getting somebody's signature on a picture or any other kind of article or souvenir. About half the time you can't even tell if it's their name anyway. After they've been signing autographs for 2 hours, they start to get tired and they just put a scribble on there. Most of them do anyway. So you can be a little bit disappointed, like, how can you possibly prove that Patrick Stewart really signed this when it just looks like a scrawl? So my first experience with standing in line for autographs, because when I think the first year I went to Las Vegas, I didn't do that, and then later the same year I went to a slightly smaller convention in Chicago, and I did buy some photo ops and autographs and all that. And William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy were both there, so I signed up to get their autographs and was very excited about it. But that was my first experience with getting into the assembly line. I mean, really, it was like, I don't know what it was like. It was kind of like getting on a plane where it was this ritual where, okay, do this, do that, stand here, don't move. Shatner wasn't looking at anybody or speaking to anybody. Nobody was speaking to him. Leonard Nimoy was, he looked like he was actually in pain from writing so much, and he was just concentrating, looking down as they passed picture to picture to him, and he just kept on writing, and he looked like he was not having a good time. So it was a very strange experience. Compared that with, at the same convention we had, what are these guys' names? They're just the guy that played, the guys that played in Voyager, the guy that played the Doctor, I just forgot his name, and the guy that played Neelix, I forgot his name, Ethan Phillips. Yeah, Ethan Phillips, and the guy that played the Doctor, Robert somebody. Anyway, they were also offering their autographs at a table outside, and they were just super casual and super friendly, looking up and talking to people and smiling, and it was really nice. So it's always a different experience depending on who it is, how tired they are, how many years they've been going to conventions. On the other hand, I've had a lot of photo ops done, and some of the people who have been doing this for decades, like Nichelle Nichols, who is truly just a very nice person and loves the fans. I've had, I think, 3 photo ops with her, and she is all, I just, when I have these photo ops, yeah, it's supposed to go very quickly, and I just let the celebrity take the lead. If they offer their hand to me and kind of pull me into them and put their arm around my neck or around my back, then I'll do the same thing to them, but I don't approach them that way. And most of the time, they're very friendly. Like Avery Brooks was extremely friendly. Denise Crosby was very, very friendly. And Nichelle Nichols just kind of, she grabs your hand in a certain way, and then you just stand there like that, and she kind of puts her other hand on your shoulder, and it's just very nice. You know, I don't expect any more from these people than what they are willing to give. And obviously it's a part of their job, it's a part of their career to do this. And I think a lot of people are there, I don't know, maybe some of them are anyway, because that's a huge source of their income. So I guess I'm kind of respectful of that. And I also wonder if a lot of these people charge these outrageous amounts for autographs or photo ops so that they won't have to do so many. They're trying to discourage people from, so many people from keeping them sitting there for so long. And yeah, some of the lines can be just extremely long, and you get tired, and I don't know. But for the most part, I've had a good time, and I will do it again. And as far as the Horror Hound convention, the only reason I went there was because I knew that Barbara Steele was going to be there, and I wanted to meet her. So that's the only person that I approached for an autograph. And she was very nice, very friendly, not overly friendly, but yeah, it meant a lot to me that I finally got to meet her and spend that small amount of time with her. What else? I think, well, the business that puts on the big Star Trek conventions, the ones that I've been to except for one, is called Creation Entertainment, and it really is an industry. And they not only do Star Trek, but they do like Lord of the Rings, and now they're doing the vampire TV shows. I don't even know what the hell they're called. And so it's, I mean, it's a business, and they must make huge amounts of money. And I don't know, you just have to take it as a mixed bag. I think after my 3rd Star Trek convention in Vegas, I began to ask myself, do I really need to keep on doing this in order to celebrate and enjoy Star Trek? And of course, I finally realized that I didn't, and that's why I stopped going. And I thought I'd just give it kind of a break for a while. So it is kind of, everything is kind of repetitious, even when you see the stars on stage. The first time I saw these people and getting up and doing their presentations and answering questions and telling stories, it was wonderful. But then after you've seen the same people 2 or 3 times, they tend to repeat the same stories. Not that that's bad, but how many times do you have to hear these things? I think a lot of people go to these conventions because they're obsessed with getting every autograph they can, and they can spend an enormous amount of money just for a long weekend, and it's just kind of crazy. But I don't know. As far as some of the horror film conventions, I would like to go to a chiller theater at least once in my life, and I would also like to go back to the Monster Bash. That was kind of fun. That's more dedicated to the old style monster movies of the 30s and 40s, and a lot of the lesser known cult figures and actors and directors, and it's kind of more my style anyway. So, okay, so on to the second question, which is, have movies taken over our lives? No, what's taken over my life is YouTube. And I'm saying that with a certain amount of humor, because obviously I'm sitting here making a video for YouTube and I'm telling you that YouTube has taken over my life. But my watching YouTube, which is not just involved with the vinyl community or the movie collectors community, but just watching endless videos on YouTube and researching things, old music, old TV shows, interviews. I spend an incredible amount of time watching YouTube, and then there's all the other things that I do on the computer. And really, I'm somebody who definitely has a computer addiction, and it leaves me little time to watch movies, quite frankly. I probably spend more time looking for movies online and going out and looking for them and buying them than actually watching them, which is kind of beside the point. I don't know. So, as much as I enjoy doing this, I can see that at some point, especially after I retire and I have less of an income, it's going to have to be curtailed quite a bit, and we'll just have to see. But I guess that's my answer. That's my response. So, once again, James, thank you, and comments are welcome. See you, folks.